This is Mr. Robert McCall, a seemingly ordinary man. However, once you understand this movie's explanation, you'll see just how fearsome he is when it comes to fighting against injustice. Last week, I brought you the first part of this movie, and now I'm back with the second part, The Equalizer 2. If you haven't watched the first part yet, you can find the link in the I button above. This is a movie that will always satisfy you, so missing it would mean missing out on an incredibly good film. Without further ado, let's start today's movie explanation. At the beginning of the movie, we see our hero, Robert, but this time in a completely different look, bearded and wearing a cap, giving him a serene appearance. He's on a train in Turkey, sipping tea from a tea bag soaked in hot water, a habit of his. We are introduced to a man who has kidnapped his daughter from his wife just to make her sad. Robert's main reason for being there is to deliver justice to this wrongdoer. When the man realizes that Robert is there for him, he calls his goons to attack Robert. But little do they know what Robert is capable of. Robert calmly starts his stopwatch and begins taking them down one by one. One of the good things about Robert is that he can use anything around him as a weapon. With just a cup and saucer, he knocks out the thugs. In the next scene, we see Robert returning the girl to her mother, keeping his identity hidden. Robert has now taken up a job as an Uber driver in the city, a job he enjoys because it allows him to listen to people's stories of problems, sorrows, and joys as they ride in his taxi. His days were going well until one day, a girl was forcibly put into his taxi by a group of men. Just by looking at her, Robert could tell that she had been sexually harassed and severely injured. Robert is never one to stay calm in the face of injustice. So, after dropping the girl off, he heads straight to the building where he had picked her up. There, he finds a group of spoiled young men having a party. He confronts them and demands that they hand over the recordings of what they did to the girl. The guys realize that Robert isn't just anyone to mess with, but they still don't know what a terrifying man he is. When they try to attack him with a bat, Robert calmly starts the timer on his iconic watch and slits one of their throats with their ATM card. He then proceeds to break the bones of the remaining thugs in a matter of moments. Robert tells one of them to call 911 and confess that they raped a girl and need to be arrested. When Robert asks if he is right-handed or left-handed, the boy replies that he is left-handed. Robert then takes his left hand and breaks the fingers in the middle, splitting them into two parts. He warns the boy that if he doesn't like the video with his right hand, he'll be back to break two fingers on that hand as well. In the next scene, we see a couple in a Belgian town having a meal together. Suddenly, a group of men arrives and shoots his wife dead. They then use the same gun to shoot the husband in the face in such a way that it appears as though he killed his wife and then committed suicide. You'll find out why this happened shortly. Robert returns home and notices that someone is in his room. He enters with his gun drawn, but the familiar scent of perfume makes him realize that it's his friend, Susan. Robert and Susan share stories of their joys and sorrows. Eventually, Susan says she has urgent work and bids Robert farewell. The next morning, Robert notices some troublemaking kids causing mischief in the yard of his rented house. He takes it upon himself to clean the graffiti they had drawn on the wall. During this, we meet a boy named Miles who frequently visits Robert. Miles is a good kid, but his circle of friends isn't good. Robert always guides him, hoping that one day Miles will do something great. Meanwhile, Susan is assigned to investigate the case in Belgium. Although everyone thinks it's a suicide, Susan feels compelled to visit the scene. When she arrives, she realizes that it's not a suicide but rather a carefully executed murder. We also meet Susan's colleague, David. Though Susan doesn't directly tell him, she hints that someone powerful is behind this. Susan then takes the elevator to her hotel room, but as soon as she arrives, two men suddenly attack her. Despite her age, Susan puts up a good fight, but in the end, she's unable to fend them off. The scene then shifts to Robert. Robert is seen talking to Miles, who is a talented artist and could paint well. While discussing art, Robert receives a call informing him that Susan was murdered in Belgium the previous day. Hearing this, Robert is stunned. Just 2 days ago, he was hanging out with his friend, and now that friend is gone forever. Filled with anger, Robert heads to Washington, D.C., to Susan's home. There, he obtains some evidence from Susan's husband to research further. Robert begins transferring all the data from Susan's phone. From this data, he discovers that two men entered the elevator and pressed the button for the 6th floor, where Susan's room was located. After repeatedly reviewing the footage, Robert realizes that these two men are Susan's killers. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to the two thugs who murdered Susan. They receive a call, but as soon as they answer it, the bomb set in their audio player explodes, and they are killed on the spot. It's then revealed that several people orchestrated this planned murder to ensure there would be no witnesses or evidence left behind. Robert then goes to see David, who is his closest friend. David is utterly shocked to see Robert, as he had witnessed Robert's car explode right before his eyes. He even attended Robert's funeral. Robert explains everything to David, recounting what happened that day. He reveals that Susan was the only one who knew he was still alive. Robert then shows David the postmortem report, pointing out that Susan was killed with a precise knife wound on her left side, ensuring there was no chance of survival. He emphasizes that such a calculated strike couldn't have been done by just anyone. It had to be someone with military training. Back at home, Robert delves deeper into the murder in Belgium, analyzing it from various angles to determine whether it was a suicide or a murder. After much consideration, he concludes that it was indeed a planned assassination. Robert shares his findings with David, explaining that Susan's murder is connected to the couple's deaths. David appears deeply troubled by this revelation and promises to inform Robert if he uncovers any further information. Meanwhile, Robert notices two gang members approaching Miles and takes him away. Concerned for Miles, Robert follows them to an apartment where he finds them all using drugs. The gang members are trying to influence Miles, telling him that he won't be able to survive by just drawing and that he should take a gun and kill those who murdered his brother. It's revealed that Miles' older brother was killed by members of another gang a few years earlier, and they are trying to push Miles into seeking revenge. Robert intervenes, first knocking out the guards at the entrance and then entering the main room. When one of the gang members asks, "Who is this guy?" Robert coolly replies, "I'm your father. Your mother must have forgotten to tell you." His tough demeanor intimidates everyone in the room. He then takes Miles outside and says, "You want to kill someone? Huh? Here, take this gun and shoot me. Let's see how brave you are." Miles is so terrified by Robert's sudden change from a calm man to a fierce one that he nearly wets himself. Robert then grabs him by the collar and drags him back home. Robert's attitude in this scene is intense and commanding. The next day, while driving his Uber, Robert picks up a passenger who claims he's heading to California to wish his daughter a happy birthday. However, Robert can understand from the man's demeanor that he's lying. Before the man can stab Robert with a knife, Robert quickly swerves the car, causing the man to miss his target. After a struggle inside the car, Robert grabs the man's gun and shoots him in the head 4 rounds. Afterward, Robert checks the man's phone and discovers that it's encrypted with military-grade technology, which makes him realize who might be behind all this. He then sets the car on fire, destroying all the evidence. The next morning, Robert goes to Dave's house. Dave is shocked to see Robert again. Robert tells him that the previous night he was attacked, and he found the phone on one of his attackers. He asks Dave to check the phone and see if he can uncover anything since it's military-level encrypted. Robert then takes out his phone and calls a number, and at that moment, Dave's phone starts ringing. Robert has already figured out that Dave is the mastermind behind everything. Calmly, Robert asks, "Why did you do this, Dave?" Dave explains that after Robert's supposed death, their team was disbanded. He joined the counterterrorism department and started killing people, just getting names and locations from their boss, and then eliminating the targets. Robert points out that those people were criminals, but Susan wasn't, so why did Dave kill her? Dave reveals that they no longer follow the old rules and have taken matters into their own hands. They've created their own kingdom, where they are judge, jury, and executioner. Dave, clearly brainwashed, has joined this rogue operation to make money. A flashback shows that Suzanne was still alive, but Dave killed her with a knife. Hearing all this, Robert steps outside and sees 3 more of his former colleagues who have joined Dave in this illegal operation. Robert tells them, "I have nothing left to do now except cut you into pieces. The sad part is, I can only kill you once, not over and over again, which would give me much more satisfaction." Robert is ready to kill them all on the spot, but at that moment, Dave's family arrives. Without saying anything further, Robert restrains himself and quietly leaves, getting into Dave's wife's car and driving away. Meanwhile, Dave and his gang arrive intending to kill Susan's husband. However, Robert anticipates this and moves him to a safe house before Dave can get there. When they miss their target, they head to Robert's house. At that time, Miles was in the kitchen doing some painting. Feeling hungry, he calls Robert to ask for permission to eat something from the fridge. Hearing the dogs barking, Robert asks why they're barking so much. He tells Miles to check what's going on outside through the window. Miles then reports that a pizza delivery man has arrived to deliver a pizza. Realizing that this pizza delivery man is a hitman, Robert immediately tells Miles to hide. Confused about what's happening, Miles listens as Robert instructs him to find a hidden button behind a book on the bookshelf. Pressing that button would reveal a secret compartment where Miles should stay completely silent. Otherwise, they would kill him on sight. Miles follows Robert's directions and hides in the secret compartment. Dave and his men search the house thoroughly. Meanwhile, Robert watches everything through his CCTV cameras. Dave eventually approaches the bookshelf. There was a glass wall that allowed those inside to see out, but no one outside could see in. However, Dave senses something and raises his gun to fire randomly at the hidden room. Just as he's about to shoot, Robert calls him, saying, "There's no point in searching for me there. If you want to die, come find me. You know exactly where I'll be waiting for you." Hearing this, Dave leaves the house. After they're gone, Miles emerges from the secret room. Only Dave returns to catch him. Seeing Miles, Dave realizes that Robert must have a soft spot for him, so he takes Miles with him. Dave understands that when Robert said, "You know where I'll be waiting for you," he was referring to the place where Robert and his wife used to live. Their home was located by the sea, where they also had a bakery shop. Robert then heads towards his old house. On that day, a massive hurricane was approaching, and the entire city was busy with evacuation efforts. A Category 4 hurricane was making landfall. On his way to the house, Robert is initially stopped by the police, but he manages to get through by showing his police ID. Meanwhile, Dave and his gang also arrive in the area. What follows is a deadly game of cat and mouse. Dave takes a sniper rifle and climbs a tower to provide backup, while the rest of the team hunts for Robert like a pack of wolves. These four are elite forces and Robert is all alone without any weapons. Outside, the storm rages, accompanied by torrential rain. A fierce battle is about to unfold. Robert's first target enters a house and sees a sewing machine running. As he looks around, finding nothing, he turns to leave. Just then, Robert strikes, using a makeshift weapon to impale the man's jaw, killing him instantly. When another member of Dave's team finds his comrade dead, he ventures outside to search for Robert, eventually reaching the edge of the sea. There, he notices Susan's picture pinned to a wall. Before he can react, Robert appears with 2 knives, and within 5 seconds, he slaughters him like a goat. The guy likely didn't even get a chance to look at Robert's face before meeting his end. Now, only 2 of Dave's men remain. Robert then heads to his wife's bakery to deal with the next one. He slashes open all the flour sacks in the room and then turns on 2 fans from opposite directions, causing the flour to swirl through the air. As the next target enters, he realizes too late that Robert has set a trap. In a desperate move, he throws a grenade into the room, but the airborne flour causes the grenade to explode with such force that it obliterates him and the entire building. I'm not sure about the science behind this, but if you know, share it in the comments. Now only Dave is left. At that moment, Robert grabs someone's walkie-talkie and says, "Buddy, it's just you and me now. The game is on." But Dave responds, "No, there's one more." Saying this, he fires towards their car. Then it is revealed that Miles is trapped inside the car. Dave then says, "Come out and face me, or I'll shoot Miles in the car right now." He starts counting from 1 to 3. When Robert doesn't show himself, Dave immediately fires his gun. But Robert cleverly shoots at the car's tire, causing it to lower, which makes Dave's shot miss its target. Dave goes into a frenzy when he can't spot Robert. In the midst of this, a strong wind knocks Dave off balance. Taking advantage of the situation, Robert appears and starts fighting him. In the intense brawl, when Dave grabs Robert by the throat, Robert gouges out one of Dave's eyes with his fingers. Then, using Dave's knife, Robert stabs him repeatedly in a ninja-like style. Finally, Robert drives the knife into Dave's left chest and slashes his throat from behind, kicking him into the sea. And with that, Robert's mission comes to an end. In the end, Robert saves Miles from the car and brings him inside the house. The next scene transitions to a bright day where we see Miles, now free from the influence of those bad guys, fully focused on his art. On the other hand, Robert is seen standing in front of his house, gazing at the calm, peaceful sea, kissing his wedding ring. And with that, this movie comes to a close. But it's not truly the end. There's another mission waiting for Robert in the next part, where he'll face off against a formidable mafia group in his fight against injustice. To watch the next part, subscribe to the channel and like this video. I hope to bring you the next installment of this movie very soon. For now, I'll bid you farewell.